सगळे आमचे हेराल्ड टीव्ही पळयणाऱ्यांक माय मोगाचो येवकार. 2022 Qatar World Cup is reaching a very critical stage now with the semi-finalists already identified. We have Argentina, we have Croatia, we have France and Morocco. And this has provided now an opportunity for all the top players to further cement their legacy. At the same time, this has provided an opportunity for the young stars to make a mark at the international level. We know that Europe has emerged as a breeding ground for developing young footballers and young footballing talent. There has been a surge in raw, talented youngsters, gifted with untapped potential, getting molded swiftly to take first-time team roles with unexpected maturity. We have witnessed Gonçalo Ramos of Portugal, just 21 years old. Bukayo Saka of England, again 21-year-old. Then we had Aurelien Chouameni, and 20-year-old for France. We had Jamal Musiala, Germany, 19-year-old. We had Enzo Fernandez of Argentina, 21-year-old. We had 22-year-old Vinicius Jr. for Brazil. For England, we had Jude Bellingham, just a 19-year-old. We have Gavi of Spain, 18 years. Pedri of Spain, 19 years. Then Japan also has Takefusa Kubo. And if you recall back, in 1958, who came into limelight was Pele, who was just 17 years old. Then Michael Owen in 1998, Ronaldinho in 2002, and Mario Götze in 2014. Every football World Cup sees young stars exploding into the popular consciousness. The World Cup has provided an opportunity for the next crop of young players to make a name for themselves. Unless these players rise from the academies, mostly they do not make a very big mark. We have academies in Goa, and we have the panelists with us, and we have Dr. Michael Dias. Welcome, Dr. Michael. We had sports psychologist Joseph Ronken, and from one of the leading football academies in Goa, we have got Melroy Moore.
Thank you.
Welcome, Melroy. As I have shared with you all, these youngsters are being provided a platform. Either they make it or they don't. But once they make it, then future is all theirs. What do you say, Dr. Michael?
Yes, the base is important. The basics of the game, the techniques, the tactics, they have to be imparted at a very young age. And academies is the right place to mold them and to guide them and develop them as a player.
Psychologist, I think you have a bigger role because mental preparation, vision depends on them and what the academies would provide. Joseph?
Absolutely right what Dr. Michael has spoken of. Imparting of skills need to start at a very young age, and not just physical skills but mental skills as well. When we talk about mental skills, the right age to impart mental psychological skills usage and how to use them starts usually between the age of 10, when they start setting up their goals, we call goal settings. And then you teach them visualization. You talk about self-talk, how to use affirmative statements, positive affirmative statements, how to start thinking positively, how to maintain a routine, how to set your short-term goals, long-term goals, how you intermediate goals. So there are various things that are taught right from the age of 10. See, why you start teaching them at the age of 10 also we need to understand is because they need to comprehend, they need to understand what are my goals. At a very young age it is difficult to understand those things. So those are the things that are imparted as well. Not physical skills, tactical aspects are imparted, but as well as the psychological aspect have to be focused on at the right age. Because what happens is once you start growing, by the time you're 14, 16, you are not in the right frame of mind to learn a particular type of concept.
all these, some of these youngsters now, they are with Benfica, Arsenal, Real Madrid, and they have made lot of money whenever they had transitioned to these
Exactly,
big teams.
exactly. And what obviously some of the names that you spoke of started football at a very young age. Probably some of them started at the age of 6, some of them started at the age of 8. But then we need to also understand that sometimes gaining success at a very young age also is not too good, because you can go out of hand. You can the success may hit your head. So those things also need to be grounded, where sports psychologist, a good coach, especially a good manager, plays an important role to keep them grounded. For one important example would be Sir Alex Ferguson, how he handled David Beckham. Though he was shining star, he was dating one of the most famous Spice Girls. He was into one of the most loved footballer, most good-looking footballer at that time. So how to deal with a player like that, with his success, or even the others like Jose Mourinho, they kept their players grounded. You may be excellent, but you always need to be grounded.
They say that in Morocco team,
Yeah.
there's a player who is married to one of the best looking actresses.
Yeah.
So, but it hasn't hampered his growth. In Goa, we have had Cesar Football Academy, which has been one of the best academies, I can say. And what exactly have you been doing, and how successful you have been? Melroy.
Yes, sir. What my friends over here have said is absolutely correct. It's not only about only focusing on their football. It's also creating some important aspects in their life, and giving the society the best citizens that you can, with regards to different attributes like confidence, self-respect, discipline. Is very important. Apart from being the players, which they will be for certain number of hours in a day, but rest of the time they are human beings. So there's a overall development that has been looked after, including their academics, because that's something that we are focusing on to, because they have to lean back on something after their careers are over, and this is the time that they need to concentrate on their studies as well as the sport that they are following
So
passionately.
you mean to say they are also schooling at the same time?
Absolutely.
And do you look after their studies?
Absolutely. So our kids are going to the schools in our vicinity, that's in Sankilim, and the boys from Sirsaim are they are mostly the college going boys, so they are going into Xavier's, and they attend the regular schools. Apart from that, we have tutors who come in the evenings every day, 1 hour a day, to take their tuitions and help
So
them with their
if they are not successful in football, then they don't have to worry as such.
Absolutely, and it's about being educated, the intelligence levels, because that's something what previously some of the young players used to say, we can't study. That's not so. Sports people are very important. Sports persons are very intelligent, and the way they take decisions on the field in split milliseconds is requiring a lot of intelligence and smartness to deal with. So this is something that is add-on, that we have to help them, guide them in the first place, so that they don't realize it now, but in future they'll definitely realize it. And we have boys who have passed on with good marks, with distinctions. Last year we got a boy who passed out in a distinction in 10th standard, and there are boys who got first classes, second, but that is not comparing them to each other at the academy. It's about clearing those grades, the minimum grades like 10th, 12th, and even completing graduation. That's what we focus, and we encourage them to do so.
Do you monitor their studies?
Absolutely. So one of the important aspects that we have included for last couple of years is we have told the parents that apart from their football growth, we will also monitor the academic growth, and any of it is not happening parallelly, then we would have to maybe part ways with the kid. Because
How has been your success rate so far?
so last 3 years we've got 100% results across all age groups, right from under 14 till under 18. So that gives us immense satisfaction, and we would continue and want to continue doing so with all our boys.
Dr. Michael, do you have students coming to the college who are also wanting to be professional footballers?
Yes, we do have boys that play football and also do their college studies.
Would they want to make a career in football?
Yes, recently we've had Devendra Murgaonkar, who plays for FC Goa, and Gautam Dias, who has recently signed for Churchill Brothers. So we do have students who are interested in pursuing, and I remember Dr. Radhika, who recently retired as a principal. She would always tell me, like, we will encourage them as much as possible, because if not in academics, at least they have a career in football. For example, sometimes they would miss classes because of their training, and we would condone those absences.
This would not happen in the olden days. They would not, take up to studies at all. And once their career was over, then they felt totally lost. How do you see the present trend now, Joseph?
Exactly. Earlier, what used to happen is they used to focus on sports, and then they didn't have anything to lean back on after they got retired. And usually they would get retired by the age of 35. After that, nothing. So there are a lot of our older players who today are facing a lot of difficulties because of this. And it is through their experiences, and they are the ones who have shared this experience, that after football what? Some of them definitely managed to get jobs in certain sectors, but after football what? So this is one very important aspect that academies like CESA's, or I think even Dempo's Academy is taking care of, where they make sure that you also can lean on the academic aspect of your career.
So you're not lost
You're
in
not
this
lost.
world.
Definitely you're not lost. Exactly. So
And
it's
I
a very
think
important
that's
thing.
a good role that the club plays.
Yes, it is a very important role that they play.
Did you face any difficulties, Melroy?
Yeah, initially yes, we would. So back in 2017, we could see some of the players just giving up on studies, but slowly now, as we are evolving, they've realized that this is one of the very important aspects, and when we implemented this as an important factor for them to continue to improve, that time they took it very seriously. Otherwise it was more only on football, and then not so much interest in the studies, but now they know.
It's good that some of the teams now in Goa, they are investing, and this is their strategy to have their academies, so that it gives you lot of outputs for sustainability for football in Goa. We are coming to the halfway mark. This program, Bend It with Herald TV, is supported by Decathlon Kalangut, Martin's Corner Betalbatim, Adlengoy Family Restaurant, Doria Deger Multi Cuisine Restaurant Old Goa, Martin's Place Village Bistro Navilim. We'll be coming back very shortly. Stay with us. Don't go away.
Please do drop in at a small little family restaurant called Adlengoy, which is just 5 minutes from Basilica Born Jesus and Say Cathedral. In this small restaurant, we serve authentic Goan cuisine, and we are known even for our fresh fish, chicken, mutton, etc. Also, we are known even for the other cuisines like tandoori, Indian, Indo-Chinese. So why don't you come over? Also, we have a full-fledged bar, and our bartenders do really good, amazing cocktails and mocktails. And also, most important point, we are having a live premiere of the FIFA World Cup. So do drop in with your family and friends, and for reservations, dial the number on the screen.
Today we are at Martin's Place, and the ambience, sarke chod bare. Like, look at this, so spacious and so nice. You feel like dancing. So let's cheers for it. The food here is next level. Like, it's so good, and so the prawns, guys, they were so kurkurit. Like it is approved by Mr. Kurkurit. So look at me, eat them. आणि गोवन सॉसेज स्टफ्ड स्क्विड्स किती लागताले रे ह्यो. सामके काडीज बुंग बँग जाता. आणि तेंगे सिग्नेचर डिश म्हणल्यार मरे स्टफ्ड क्रॅब्स किती लागता बरा. प्युअर क्रॅब मीट, व्हाईट वाईन आणि क्रीम आणि चीज गन. जेवणा खायला मरे आम्ही प्रॉन्स पुलाव आणि चिकन काफ्रियल किती लागता सारखें चड बरें.
Welcome back. You are watching Bend It with Herald TV. We have been talking about young players who have been impressing at Qatar World Cup, and the under 23 deserve a special mention. They have already made their mark by putting up stellar displays. And we have seen that most of the teams, take for example France, you have got Shonameni, 22 years, Eduardo, 19 years, Mappe, 23 years, William Saliba, 21, Jules, 23. Now, it's one thing that most of them have been in the academies, and the academies also have responded with their quality. It's not only having an academy, but it has to meet certain standards. What do you say, Joseph?
Absolutely. Having an academy just does not fill in the the requirements. You need to be an academy that provides, and it should have a holistic view towards the development of an athlete, especially when you know that athletes are going to come, students, especially student athletes, are coming at the age of 10, entering the academy setup. So how to get them comfortable, how to integrate them into the academy setup, what are the foods that they would require. So an academy needs to look at all these aspects. So they'll need to have a dietitian, they'll need to have a good warden, they'll need to have a sports psychologist, counselor, they'll need to have a exercise physiologist, as I said. Apart from the coaching staff, because what happens is once you start getting all these things together, because the first important aspect of a child coming into an academy is how the child responds, how the child is going to be behaving in the starting few days of the academy. I'm sure Melroy will shed some light on it, because it is not easy, because for the past 10 years you are with your parents, you are in the home environment, and then suddenly you come into something. You like football, you love football, you want to be you're getting a chance to come into it, but the initial few months it's very stressful for an athlete. So getting into that,
So you need specialists.
you need specialists, you need people who can handle that kind of situation, you need people who are experienced. There are a lot of coaches who are very experienced, who know how to handle situations, but sometimes it goes beyond. Because I remember once in one of the academies, they called me specially because there was this student who was having extreme anxiety to stay into the academy, just because he never lived at night outside of his home. So how to handle that?
So he was missing his parents.
He was missing his parents, extreme anxiety. He tried to get out of the first floor window, and it was scary. So those are the things that sometimes coaches do not know how to handle. So
This is not the job of the coaches.
it is not.
So you need other
You
specialists.
need other specialists.
in
You
the
need
field.
other people who are know how to handle the
But
situations.
now that you are saying that you need specialists in every field,
You need.
it will be quite an expensive
It is,
affair.
exactly.
Financially, it could drain, and that's why I think most of the teams cannot afford.
Yes.
In this way, I must compliment Cesar Vedanta, because you are spending a lot of money. Do you think it is worth?
Yes, absolutely. As Joseph have mentioned, we have also got cases wherein the kids have felt homesick within a few days, and it's difficult. It's difficult to see a kid at that age to come and then he's upset, he's sad. We also don't want to face those issues, but then that's the reality. Yes, there are professionals who are available, and but very few. So that's one thing which is to take note of. But you need to have professionals like psychologists, specialists who will take care of these kids during those situations, to get them out of the situations. And as they're growing as well, they hit a adolescent age, so that's also an age which is very critical, and they tend to lose focus. So yes, we need specialists like psychologists, then strength and conditioning coaches. It becomes maybe it is at the moment a bit expensive affair.
But this is a totally different regimen.
Yes, it's an extension to the existing coaching methods. I believe we have done the basic minimum. In
What
terms
is
of
the
coaching.
minimum entrance age in your academy?
We take them at the age of 13 or 14.
13, 14 is quite young.
Yes, we tried going a little bit lower, but then it was affecting. It was affecting a lot because we could see more number of cases with homesickness and anxiety issues. But then still at that age we face certain times, but the number is quite less.
And then you have added experience now on how to handle all of them.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's not only having an academy, it's also having a certain standard of the academy. Am I right, Joseph?
Exactly. In fact, myself and Dr. Michael were just discussing on certain academies all over India, and somehow Goa's academies don't feature on that list, which is something which we need to look about. Like compared to a Reliance Academy, compared to a JSW Bengaluru, compared to Baichun Bude Academy, or some various other Round Glass Punjab FC Academy. So these are academies that are now starting to set the benchmark, because they have all these things, they have all these experts, they know how to this thing. But one thing about Goa is our academies is we are result oriented. We are focusing on results, and we are getting our results to a certain degree.
What I was told, I may be wrong, that several of these academies, their teams came to Goa, they played a lot of matches, and then in most of the matches, our local academies have beaten all of them.
Exactly, because we also need to understand is in Goa, locally, we play a lot of football. We are exposed to a lot of matches compared to other academies, where they did not get this exposure of facing other teams. Obviously now they are improving on that aspect also, because I think Reliance organizes a lot of tournaments. They get even teams from other countries, Arsenal, PSG. I think recently it was, they bought teams from other countries, which is a good thing for football, for India in general. But compared to our academies, we know that our kids are playing, and we are getting, especially from our setup, in our academy setup, we are getting talents from various interior parts of the state, and purely on talent base. But compared to other academies, what happens is sometimes parents pay, which you have to, and probably they're not getting the best talent.
Parents may have the money, but that passion which is inherent in the local Goans especially, they used to say at one time that football runs in the blood of Goans. May not be the same with the others. Melroy, I remember you had organized one tournament with the outstation teams.
Yes.
What was your experience?
So we had organized a tournament with 4 residential teams that was having Tata, so then JSW Bengaluru, us, and we had Reliance. Experience was good. So sometimes I could hear long back that we are not giving chance for Goans and all, but in my opinion we should expose our boys to teams from other states, players from other states, because at the national level or at the international level they are not going to play only your local teams. They are going to be exposed to players with different sets of skills, physical features, then talent. So you need to expose them. What we learned was more of how the other teams were in terms of their physicality, tactics, technical areas, and we got to learn a lot from them.
What we were told now of late, that physically the Goans do not match up, especially with the Northeast, and the Northeast today are physically endowed, maybe because of their particular region. What do you say, Dr. Michael?
I would say there are 2 things important when you compare with players from Northeast or from other state. First and foremost, that passion is a bit down compared to what it was in Goa earlier. For some or for many, football is no more the bread and butter, in the sense like many of these Northeast, for them sports is a way to get out of their present situation of life, where there is some of them have a very hard life. So they see sports as a way for them to come out.
Mostly you see now boys and girls in casinos in Goa.
Yes, as we discussed it last time, that all the extra in the parties and a lot of distractions around. So football is no more a passion for them, maybe for a few. And secondly, in terms of fitness levels, the players from Northeast, they tend to do better. That is because of the region, as you mentioned, the oxygen level, okay, at that height is less. So they know to play in very tough conditions. So when they come and play in the other parts of India, it is like paradise for them. Like they have so much of oxygen for them to go and perform. That makes a big difference.
Yeah.
So what do you say, Joseph?
Exactly. So that's why scientific approach is very important, and there are methods where as he said, at higher altitude it is difficult to play. So because the air is much thinner. So the same scientific methods have been applied in most of these modern academies, where they use the treadmill. They ask to run, and the oxygen level is made thinner.
Okay.
So that they can match it to the higher altitude of oxygen. And I think our BCCI does that thing to most of its athletes. I think even AIFF does it when it comes to their training, when it comes to endurance training, when it comes to their various other cardiovascular training. So those are the things that we need to focus on as well, because it's even in the the academy in QATAR, the Aspire Academy, they do these things. So it's not that we can't do it, we can do it. There are scientific approaches which we need to follow, and that's where investment is required for academies.
It's a big investment.
Yes.
Having said that about the physicality, they say that Goans lack in strength, endurance, much more so that the goals are being scored now in the last 10-15 minutes, and then you go for extra time, what we have seen. How do you see all this?
It's not only about coaching, it's not only about training the kids for 1 hour, 30 minutes or 2 hours. Initially, I mean, back in the olden days, most of them used to do a lot of running for their sessions. But now that has gone and it has evolved, and nowadays the training is more ball oriented and things like that. Having said that, it is very good in terms of modern football. We have to evolve, we have to learn new ways of training, but I think players also have to put in extra efforts with regards to improving themselves, with regards to building on their strength, going for the gym sessions, doing a bit of extra. And we have read and heard about international footballers like Ronaldo. Many of them are doing extra sessions for themselves. Even the players who are foreigners in the ISL, we have heard their coaches saying that these players are there in the gym every second day, trying to work on their strength, their conditioning. We have seen it at the academy itself. When it comes to the boys from other states like Northeast, they are putting double shifts as compared to our Goan boys. We have to push our Goan boys, but with these boys who are from other states, you don't have to push them. They will be there after doing a hardcore session in the evening. They will be there in the next morning at 6 a.m. and doing their gym sessions or running on the grounds with weights for the legs, or someone pulling them from behind and doing resistance training. So a lot of these aspects.
But for this endurance and strengthening, you'll have the need of experts.
Currently we do it to the best of our knowledge with our existing coaches and with the physios in place. So it's more of damage control that we are trying to do, so that the players also don't get much of injury. But yes, specialist would be definitely need of the hour.
So I think we are on the right track with these academies, and there is a good hope for tomorrow. Thank you very much, Dr. Michael, Joseph, and Melroy. We wish your academy will prosper, will grow further, and will contribute for the real development of football in Goa. Thank you very much for being with us. This Bend It with Herald TV was supported by Decathlon Kalangut, Martin's Corner Betalbatim, Adlengoy Family Restaurant, Doryadegar Multi Cuisine Restaurant Old Goa, and Martin's Place Village Bistro Navelim. Thank you very much for being with us.